Tudo bom? Beleza? Ciao, oi. That's about it.
Yeah.
Non falo portuguese.
Can we start?
We're going to start?
I don't know, I think so.
Yeah, let's start.
Começa já?
DJ Mem, can you be quiet in the crowd there, please? Dudu Marote. We're going to kick you off the next panel. I'm going to kick you off. You're going to be in big trouble.
Hello. So this one's going to be in English. There's
Always going to be in English as well?
Yes.
yes. And then there's translation outside. So this first part is 10 reasons why Berlin is Europe's capital of electronic music. I'm here with Jonty Skruff, who is a DJ and a journalist who's been following dance music since the early 90s. I actually met Jonty in 1994, and we did a lot of raving back in the day. We used to go to techno clubs like Fun and Frontier and watch Jeff Mills.
Squat parties.
Squat parties and the whole London Underground. This was in London, and Jonty lived in London until what year?
I moved to Berlin in 2008.
2008. And he's like an Englishman, in exile because he loves Berlin and he knows the town really well. He's established himself in Berlin and doesn't want to go back to London, right?
Not at all, no, I love Berlin. Shall I start?
So give us the reasons for staying in Berlin.
Just to say a bit more about what I do in Berlin, as well as being a DJ and a blogger, I also work for Amsterdam Dance Event, and I'm a curator for Amsterdam Dance Event, and I help organize, similar to this, I organize panels and I invite speakers. And another thing I do, I work for Pioneer in Berlin, and basically in Berlin, I'm Pioneer's kind of man in Berlin, if you like, and what I'm doing for them is a
representative.
Yeah, so it's slightly complicated. Reflecting what I'm going to talk about Berlin, because what I'm trying to do with Pioneer is position Pioneer in the underground of Berlin. And I'm going to talk a lot about the underground in today's points, because Berlin, anyone you talk to about Berlin, underground comes up in every conversation. So I've got 10 reasons why I think Berlin is Europe's capital of electronic music. I think Berlin is actually the world's capital of electronic music. So
not Las Vegas.
Not Las Vegas, not New York.
So is Berlin the opposite, extreme opposite of Las Vegas? Is it?
Definitely not Ibiza. Berlin for me is absolutely the center of what's exciting about dance music and club culture. And the first reason I've picked is the clubs in Berlin. The clubs in Berlin, I looked on Resident Advisor. They list 700 clubs. But London, I checked, and London lists about 1,500. So London has a lot more. But I would argue that Berlin's 700 clubs include some of the world's best clubs, and I'm going to say why.
London is a bigger town as well, isn't
London's got 3 times the population, yeah. And a lot of the London clubs are also bars on the listings. Right. But anyway, the clubs they list are, if any of you have been to Berlin, they're in order: Berghain, Watergate, Weekend, Club Divisionaire, Tresor, Katterholzig, Renata, Golden Gate, Ritterbutzke. These are all the best-known clubs, pretty much. There's a few more I'm going to talk about as well. What do these clubs have in common? What makes these clubs so good, in my opinion? Firstly, what they have in common is the music. They all focus very broadly on this mixture of techno, house, and tech house, and everything in between. But Berlin is a techno and house city. Dubstep, or the other genres, the London genres, they haven't penetrated significantly. There's usually a few parties, there's a few things going on, but Berlin is house and techno and tech house predominantly. The other things all these clubs have in common, they have a rule pretty much everywhere in Berlin of no cameras allowed, which is also significant. They have no VIP rooms. If you go to Berghain, it's one of the hardest clubs to get into, and they make you wait for hours. More often than not, they may reject you. But you get in there, there is no VIP room. So everybody is equal in this space. There's no bottle service in any of these clubs. There are a few clubs in Berlin with bottle service, but they are...
just to explain, bottle service is when
bottles,
you order a bottle from...
Yeah, bottle service is like for the rich people. When
Camilo Rocha.
Yeah. So there's none of these clubs have bottle service. The only clubs with bottle service are the kind of Hotel West Berlin kind of guys in suits, you know, and these clubs are irrelevant in Berlin. Nobody talks about these clubs. Nobody thinks about them. They have no cultural impact. They are over there, which is great. I don't know anyone would ever go near these clubs. Thank goodness. Also, most of these clubs, they have no advance ticket sales, which if you go to London, almost all the clubs and parties have advance tickets, they have early birds, they have all these things. In Berlin, you go and you pay on the door, and this is how it is. And this is a reflection of how strong the scene is in Berlin. There are tens of thousands of people going out clubbing every weekend, and in the week there are thousands of people going out clubbing in the week as well. Berlin is a 24/7 city.
So is that like on Monday you have clubs?
Yeah, there's parties.
Tuesday, Wednesday?
Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. You can find...
There's always something on.
You can find great parties on a Tuesday, wet night in December with people raving, and it's packed. And yeah, you have to find it. And these clubs might not make it easy for you to find them, but when you do find it, you'll find, oh my God, wow.
And you have also, like, apart from clubs, you have like underground parties and squat parties.
All of these things, yeah.
Warehouse.
Yeah, because the other thing with Berlin and the club, another thing I didn't mention, I'm involved in a club called Sisyphus. I don't know if any of you aware of Sisyphus? Have you heard of Sisyphus? Sisyphus, every weekend is open, every other weekend at the moment, opens on Friday, it finishes on Monday. On New Year's Eve, they open on New Year's Eve. The party is going on for 6 days, non-stop.
Non-stop.
And
so every weekend it's non-stop?
Every weekend it's non-stop.
Friday till Monday?
Friday to Monday, non-stop.
So if I go there on Saturday 2 in the afternoon, it will be open?
Yeah, it won't be very busy on Saturday afternoon because people go home and then they come back.
At some point.
And you get different waves of clubbers. Again, you get Friday tends to be younger clubbers. Sunday's the best day to go out in Berlin, I think. I'm going to jump on because all these things are crossing with the other things I want to talk about. The music in Berlin. In Berlin, there's no EDM, there's no pop music. This is number 2 why Berlin is the best capital of electronic music or underground electronic music. In Berlin, people take music seriously. They take techno and house music seriously. They really think about it. It's not something trivial. It's like, oh, techno, you know. So Germans are quite serious people. They have a sense of humor, but it's a kind of a strange...
It's like a way of life, not just something...
It is a way of life, and there's a lot of people there's a lot of people making a living from this way of life, and...
there's this healthy economy.
There's a big economy, yeah, there's a really big economy, and we're going to touch on this too in another point. Talking about EDM, I have a friend who works in a ticket agency where they sell tickets for the theatre and ballet and things like that. David Guetta got booked to play a 20,000 capacity arena 2 years ago, and they couldn't sell very many tickets. So they moved David Guetta from a 20,000 capacity arena to a 4,000 capacity arena. This was last year. So even your average Berlin kind of non-club person doesn't like David Guetta. Like, no one likes David Guetta in Berlin. This year, David Guetta came back and they did a free concert for David Guetta. Basically, a phone company sponsored the party and had to give away all the tickets because nobody would pay to go and see David Guetta. What a wonderful place. I mean, warms my heart. Yes. David Guetta.
Envious.
David Guetta's a nice guy and all that, but musically, what can I say? Third reason why Berlin is such a great city, it's a very free city. The authorities, the police, they recognize that club culture is great for Berlin. You never get police raids in clubs. You get a few undercover police, drugs are illegal still in Berlin, but they tolerate club culture, and in the summer, if the weather is good, there are open-air parties all over the city, in parks. And people take sound systems, and they put them in parks, and even if the police come, they just say, hey guys, can you turn it down a bit? Can you stop a bit later? Nobody gets arrested, nobody gets their equipment seized, and a lot of the best clubs in Berlin are people who start in parks. And they throw some parties, and they build up a crowd, and then they get a squat, and then they grow in this way. And this is happening all the time. So Berlin is always regenerating with new people coming in, including Brazilians and including people from everywhere. So the police are good.
Can I just ask you a quick question on that? You said, there's many, I don't know if you're going to touch on this later on, but many people from non-Germans living in Berlin. And
it's full of international people. And I'm going to touch on this. We talked about this panel and my next panel about doing them in English or doing them with Portuguese. And I know I'm the only person in the room who doesn't speak Portuguese. And I'm very sorry about this. And I don't speak German either. My German is...
yes.
Yeah, so I apologize to Germans all the time, but I've lived in there for 5 years. I can speak Italian quite well, which is increasingly useful because there's a lot of Italians in Berlin now. There's a lot of Spanish in Berlin. There's a lot of Brazilians in Berlin. And the great thing for me, I'm a lucky boy because I'm English, and everybody speaks English as a second language. All the Germans, they all want to speak English too, because English is the language of the internet, it's the language of all the technology jobs. And in Berlin is also a startup city. So there's all kinds of interesting people coming to Berlin, and you don't need to speak German anymore, I have to say. I have a German girlfriend, so it helps with a few things, along the way. But it's getting easier all the time, and the future is English, definitely for Berlin. And another great thing for me, but it's not a difficult city to make friends in. It's full of new people coming all the time, so it's quite an easy place to come and dive into the party scene and find your own place. Reason 4 why Berlin is the capital. Berlin is extremely cheap to live. You can rent.
There's an interesting information here, which is the price of entrance in Berghain.
Yeah, the price.
€14?
Yeah, to get into Berghain, it's €14.
Which is how much is the euro? Like 4? 50 reais.
How many reals is
50 reais to get into Berghain.
Okay.
On a Saturday night, that would be?
Anytime. Yeah.
Same price every day.
Yeah. A lot of the clubs are €10. And if you go to Ibiza, you're spending like 80 or 100 euros to
go to SÃO PAULO.
Yeah, to get into the clubs, and it's €14. So, and this reflects the Berlin attitude that Berghain, their whole value, they're not trying to make as much money as possible. They're trying to get a good crowd of people, and they want to respect their crowd. They take their crowd seriously. They want to make their crowd like them. They want to love their crowd. They want their crowd to love them back. And it's €14. Taxis in Berlin are very, very cheap. I mean, if you get stuck in a traffic jam, which I know you're all very familiar with, the taxis, the meters stop when you're stopped. They don't keep ticking away. So you're in a traffic jam, it's like, okay, no problem. We can wait, no problem. So it's a nice thing, The other great thing is that everybody rides bicycles in Berlin. Everybody rides bicycles. And everything is within pretty much half an hour bicycle ride. All the clubs are within this distance. So you get hundreds of people, assuming it's not raining. The weather can be bad, so there's a few negatives in Berlin. But basically, you can go out, you can cycle to the club,
So a lot of people cycle to the club, so you get people
Yeah.
cycling all night.
You get DJs cycling to the club. It's quite common, you know. And basically, the only thing to warn you, when I say that police are very cool and very easygoing, they are not so cool with cyclists, because what they do, and this happened to me, I was playing at a club, I had a 9 o'clock set on Monday morning, a beautiful sunny day, and I woke up, had a big shot of Jägermeister, you know, to kind of get in the mood of, you know, thinking, okay, it's party time and all that. And I cycle off to the club, and it's sunny, and I'm all happy, and I'm cycling along, and I see this pretty scary-looking guy kind of waving at me, you know, sort of like this, and I'm kind of thinking like, oh God, there's a scary-looking guy. Better not look at him, you know, so I'm looking away and cycling past him. And I cycle along, and then the next minute, I turn the corner, and there's these police who are hiding around the corner, and they're like, halt! And they stop me. And what the police do, they hide around corners, and then they breathalyze cyclists. So I had to blow into a bag, and I had this great big shot of Jägermeister. I was like, oh, fuck, you know. But basically, the limits are quite high. So I was okay, you know. I was a bit drunk, but I was legally not too drunk to ride a bike. Thank goodness.
So you got away.
I got away with it. So you have to be a bit careful drinking on your bicycle, because they might get you. So that is a bit of a negative. Well, it's sensible too, but anyway. So Berlin is very cheap. You can live cheaply, and the beauty of this is that.
So can I just ask one question? How about DJs' wages? Do DJs do it cheaper for Berlin clubs?
DJ fees are very low in Berlin, but they're also very low in London. And the reality of Berlin and
low
London,
in SÄO PAULO too.
There's too many DJs. There's London. I think I read somewhere there's 50,000 DJs in Berlin, or something like this. And there's a lot of really, really famous DJs in Berlin who don't play in Berlin. DJ fees are very, very low. But playing in Berlin, I played this club Sisyphus, which is an amazing club, and the sets, everybody plays 4-hour sets. The crowds are amazing. Everybody's up for it, and they have good sound systems. And you know, again, you do the gigs, you get your money from the gigs abroad, from different countries and stuff. So it's okay, but because it's so cheap, you don't need a lot of money to live. You know, nobody's judging you on money. So the hierarchies, nobody's got flash cars, nobody's wearing designer clothes. You know, people are kind of very understated. Even really rich people, they're understated. They're not kind of swaggering. They're not opening bottles of champagne. They're understated, and this is great. You know, people are like, you know, it's more of an equal. German people have I don't know. They're a bit more egalitarian. I think to do with the history of the even the culture. You know, the communist, because it's in East Berlin, so it's from a communist background.
Do a quick message. Tem tradução simultânea, se quem quiser tem fone de ouvido lá fora, né, para pegar. Pode ouvir tradução simultânea. Sorry, just.
Okay, next point.
I just want a quick one about again about DJ. For example, like Carl Cox plays Berlin. When a club hosts Carl Cox as an attraction, does it put its prices higher?
Well, Carl Cox never plays Berlin.
Yeah, just as an example, like someone famous.
Okay,
but not David Guetta League.
It depends on the club. So the best clubs.
Laurent Garnier, for example.
Laurent Garnier plays Berghain like twice a year. I think Berghain pay reasonable fees, but they don't pay like Ibiza fees, or they don't pay anything like that. Nobody pays that. I mean, maybe if there's a few, like Paul van Dyk might get a big fee or something like that, but very, very, very few DJs get big fees, I think. A lot of DJs never play in Berlin. A lot of big English DJs never play in Berlin. Berlin's not looking at the rest of the world for inspiration. Berlin is it's very confident in itself.
Doing its own thing.
Pardon?
Doing its own thing.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it's not looking. I think London looks to Berlin quite a lot. So in London, you get a lot of warehouse parties, and they book Berghain DJs. They book, you know, Bang Glock and so on, and it's a confident city at the moment. So another thing I want to touch on is the attitude of Berlin, and Berlin is it's a punk city, it's a queer city, it's a gay city, it's a techno city, and when I say it's a punk city, it's got the DIY culture of punk. It's got, again, you look at clubs like Bar 25 or Katterholzig, they started it in a field with some trailers, and then they built the whole club themselves. They built it they found wood. This is why the next club's called Katterholzig. They built it all like a Mad Max kind of DIY thing. And this is very Berlin. It's very like, hey, let's recycle. You know, it's a left-wing city. It's a socially conscious city. People are concerned about the environment. They're thinking more about political things. There's an intelligence about Berlin culture, I think, that I find lacking in London. London is very American to me now. London has been really Americanized by the media, and it didn't used to be like this in London, but I think it is now. In London, people they're like closed and under pressure and stressed. Anyway,
would you say also Berlin? I mean, is a punk, queer, and techno city, but its roots as a tolerant city go far back.
Yeah, it does. I mean,
like in the 20s, the Weimar Republic.
Yeah, the Weimar Republic. Yeah. So Berlin historically. Again, I think every expatriate comes to Berlin. The history of the city is fascinating. It's been destroyed about 10 times. It's had a very violent history.
The Nazis hated Berlin in a way, didn't they?
Yeah, they did, yeah.
In the 1920s, they had this whole nightlife in Berlin, and they wanted to crush that.
And Berlin was a communist city when the Nazis came to power. So there was a lot of anti-Nazis all the way through. So it was never a fully Nazi city at any point. So, and from the point of view of the gay aspect of Berlin, it's a statistic is that 20% of the population is gay, and it's full of gay people. It's full of gay sex clubs. It's full of all sorts of people, and no one cares. No one's judging. It's very, very tolerant. You can dress how you like, and it's a very safe city. You can stagger home 5 a.m. Now, when I walk around SãO Paulo after dark, I'm walking 3 blocks, and I'm a little bit nervous, you know. And I've heard a few stories of Benji being robbed at gunpoint, and but Berlin is a very, very safe city. German people there, they're not violent, you know. Like in England, if you go to England, people that get drunk, they like to fight, you know. But German people, they like to shout, and there's, you know.
Dance techno.
I think if they get pushed too far, they can be maybe not so good, but as long as you don't push them too far. Next point, I'm going to jump on to, because I'm waffling a lot of different things. I want to talk about the technology side of it. I got some quotes from a US technology blog, TechCrunch, from last year. It said it's become the place where misfits in Europe, people who want to be artists and creators, people who don't fit in rigid social structures of places like London, flock to do what they want. And they called Berlin the startup capital of Europe. So what you've got in Berlin is a lot of new startup companies, a lot of people coming, setting up small businesses, and again from all over the world. And it's the city itself is it's broke. It's a very poor city. So the mayor of Berlin, who's gay as well, who's very publicly gay, coined the phrase "sexy but poor" to describe Berlin. Poor but sexy. Sorry, poor but sexy. And people think Berlin is a wealthy city because Germany is a wealthy country, but actually, it's a very poor city, and people don't have a lot of money, and the average wage is very low compared to Frankfurt or.
I was wondering if, because it is the national capital, you have a lot of people working in public service.
Well, one of the reasons it's still so broke is that because it's in the middle of East Germany, and East Germany, if you go outside Berlin a few miles, a lot of the towns there are being depopulated. So there's a lot of talk about the problems of gentrification of Berlin, about rents rising, prices rising, and it is happening in some of the areas in the center that used to be kind of...
It is happening.
It is happening, yeah. A couple of the areas, everybody's moved out. So you've now got these areas. You've got one east area, which is now developing, that used to be very poor and derelict, and now there's clubs opening, there's people moving there, and then there's one in the west. And these were both the kind of poor areas, a bit like Hackney and Brixton in London. But the point is with Berlin, there's a lot of room for growth. There's still abandoned warehouses everywhere you look. There's bombed out buildings, there's bombed out spaces. So there's a lot of room for growth still. So.
Is it true that Berlin already had 3 more people that they have today? Is that true? I heard about that in the 1920s there were like 10 million people.
No, there were never that many. No, I think it's always been around just under 4 million. So it's never been that big a city. But German cities are all quite small. So German population has always been spread around. It's quite a small city. I mean, I come from London, and Berlin feels, because it's small, it has quite an attraction because you do get to know everybody, and it does feel quite a easy place for that.
Do people in Berlin fear? I mean, obviously, when a place is so cool and people want to go there from everywhere, obviously you start to attract, as you said, gentrification or money investment, which want to make, don't people feel that Berlin might change in the next 10 years for the worse?
They do. Yeah, they do worry about it.
Cool and all the money people come in.
Yeah, they do worry. Yeah. I mean, it is a worry. I mean, the property prices are going up, definitely. But
so I'd say everyone must visit Berlin the next 5 years because you don't know, you never know what can happen.
I mean, for me, it's the world city where I keep meeting interesting people. For me, it's a welcoming place for freaks, weirdos, queers, people that don't fit in, people that are a bit bored in their own town and are thinking, God, there's not many people like me in this place. And there's a lot of people like that. There's a lot of very interesting people in Berlin who are kind of, for me, there's a lot of possibilities, there's a buzz in the air, and there's a kind of, the party scene is fantastic. I mean, really, people really, they take partying seriously. You can go out and you can, with little money, you can have a fantastic time, as I said, pretty much every night, and you can find what you like, So, of course, if you're into EDM, if you're into drinking champagne, and showing off your nice car, you're probably going to hate Berlin. And you probably, I live in this area near Club de Visionaire, which I know some of you know, which is near Kreuzberg. And basically, there was a campaign up until about a year ago of some people, they were firebombing luxury cars. And they were literally putting these barbecue starters in the exhaust pipes of the cars. And then about 20 minutes later, the car would blow up. And this went on for about 4 years. I never caught anyone because whoever did it worked out this really clever way of just like putting this slow-burning fuse in a car, and then the car blows up about half an hour later. And this is going on for years and years and years. And be like, oh, another 5 Mercedes got firebombed last night, And the wonders of technology. There's a website where it has one of these maps, where it has like a map thing where every single car was set on fire. And one day I looked at this map, and it's right where I live. It's like, there's about 500 of the cars are within about 100 meters of where I live. So I haven't seen one. But I think I find that somehow. I was abroad at the time. My Brazilian friends when they were staying with me. But I don't know. I find that somehow entertaining, the fact that if you've got like a really flash car, you've got to worry about some anarchists blowing it up. Call me, I don't know. Not that I'm an anarchist or anything like that. I do work for Pioneer, so. Apart from that, the other reason it's good is EasyJet. And I talked about this with Claudio, the organizer.
Just before you start on that, just something I think people might be interested in knowing is, you said you moved from London to Berlin, and then Berlin's much better. But why did you go to Berlin in the first place?
The reason I moved there was because I started traveling a lot as a DJ, and I think I'm reasonably qualified to talk about Berlin because I've traveled as a DJ. I've played in like 30 countries, and I remember coming here to Brazil. I've been here my 10th trip to Brazil, and I was realizing when I was here, that you guys, and Camilo and I were friends in London. We were hanging out together for years. And when you came back here, I was seeing the quality of life. I remember having lunch with you one day on a Monday with Dave, the drummer. And I was going back to London and thinking, God, I'm going back to miserable London. And, and I was thinking the quality of life, thinking, I don't need to live in England. But London is not what it used to be. And London used to be in the 90s. London was what Berlin is now. So London, all the Brazilians I knew, they all came to London. And now they're going to Berlin. So Paulo Tessuto in the audience. I met Paulo in Berlin, and now we've met here. And
many people in São Paulo are feeling the same about São Paulo.
Yeah. So, and the people in Berlin, in Sao Paulo, who are into this kind of alternative culture, you meet them all in Berlin. And Dudu Marote, who's on my next panel, we met, and Dudu came to our club, and we're like-minded people, and now we're connecting through the internet, and the internet's bringing us all together. And Berlin is a great place to connect with these kind of people. So you should all come, and we can all hang out. And,
as you mentioned the internet, what's the relation between Berliners and Facebook and social media?
I mean,
people are crazy about social media in Brazil.
This is another great thing about Berlin. This club this is the next point I was going to say, which is point 9 about EasyJet. EasyJet, I'll give you a statistic on this. I did some research. There's 11 million tourists visiting Berlin every year at the moment. A third come from nightlife, and they spend 1 billion euros a year on nightlife. So 1 in 3 tourists are club people, and they're getting the cheap flights coming from London, Manchester, Spain. Every weekend, there's all these kind of club tourists coming in. And they're coming to the best clubs. They want to go to Berghain. They want to go to Katerholzig. They want to go to the best clubs, the same best clubs that the Berlin people want to go to. So what's happening now, which is really interesting, is that the best clubs in Berlin, they operate on a word-of-mouth thing. They don't use the internet. So Sisyphus, the club I'm involved with, they have so many people coming to the club. They have queues outside of like 100 meters on Saturday night for 2 hours. The club is a mile away from anything. You have to go out to it. You don't just like wander by. You have to make this journey. And then if you go on a Saturday night, you have to wait 2 hours, and they still might not let you in. And people still do it. Berlin people seem to like queuing. It's kind of maybe not such a British thing.
Brazilians too.
Oh yeah? Okay. Oh, you should come to Sisyphus. It's great for queuing. But anyway, the point is with Sisyphus, what they've done, they've taken the listings off Resident Advisor altogether, because they want their regulars to be able to get in. They don't want a lot of EasyJet tourists to push out the regulars, because it's the regulars that make the club so good, because the crowd there is amazing, and the crowd is credible people. So for you guys, again, people coming in, they have to fit into the Berlin vibe. Then you can't just come in and go, hey, I'm a tourist, I'm going to come and I'm going to go to Berghain, because Berghain, they won't let you in. You have to, if you want to get into Berghain, you have to be humble, you have to respect the club, you have to be prepared to be rejected, and they'll be like going, well, hey. In reality, you have to make an effort to get to know some people in the scene. And this is good, so it's protecting the scene. So again, people care about it. They're not just going, hey, I'm consuming, I'm drinking my stuff, I'm going out and partying and finding girls and blah, blah, blah. They're like, no, this is part of their life, and they want to protect it, they want to help it. People, there's more people contributing to the club culture, and I think people are aware of it. Instead of just consuming, there's people that they want to...
It was back and forth.
Yeah, and this is
not just taking.
It's a very Berlin attitude, So I think the scene is, for me, in 5 years, is growing enormously. When I first went there 7 years ago, some of the clubs used to close in the summer. They used to have a summer. Germany clubs used to close for the holidays. Everyone would go to Mallorca or Ibiza. And when I go to Ibiza now, all the people I meet, they go to me, oh, you're from Berlin, what's it like there? And boy, they are worried about Berlin stealing their crown as the center.
How does the city authorities deal with? I mean, do they actually promote the Berlin nightlife? Is something they are proud about? They like to. They acknowledge the importance of the nightlife.
Increasing, I mean, compared to anywhere else, they're great. I mean, they're not perfect, and you know, there are definitely problems.
I mean, they obviously must realize how much money comes in.
I think they do, yeah. I mean, there's no other industry in Berlin, so this is it is. I think compared, because very few places anywhere are that cool about nightlife. Let's be honest, you know. But I think compared to most, they're good. Yeah. So I think my final point, so I don't want to talk for too long on this. Yes. I mean, my last point for why it's so good is it's the people. It's full of lovely, interesting people. And I think the people are what make the clubs, the people are what make the city. And I think it's a super cool city, super alternative. And best place in the world for me. Feels like home. So
fantastic.
That's it.
Okay. Thank you, Jonty.
Any questions?
Questions?
Benjamin.
These are good questions.
I don't know if you've probably heard about it, but Lady Gaga performed a concert at Berghain. And yes, a couple of weeks ago, I don't know, Lady Gaga performed a concert at Berghain. A concert or something, I don't know. Really
record
know what
release,
it was. But do you think that it's the end of the cool crowd at Berghain? Now there will be a Little Monsters invasion at Berghain or something like this, because like Lady Gaga doesn't fit there, in my opinion.
I mean, I have to be a bit careful what I say about Berghain because you know,
sorry.
because they're so powerful.
I don't. I can ask.
But I mean, Berghain is changing all the time, and their crowd is changing all the time. And there has been another debate in some forums about Berghain, because Berghain was traditionally a gay club. It was mainly a gay club.
Yes.
And it's a lot less gay now than it used to be. It's still probably 50%, 60%, I don't know about percent, but it's much less gay than it used to be. And it's much more international than it used to be. There's far less sort of Berliners there. And there was a debate about there being a lot of young goth girls going into the club, and somebody was complaining about them letting in all these goth girls, and the doorman, the guy with the face tattoo, was going, well...
He's scary.
He's not actually so scary, but
I thought he was when I was there.
No. He's a photographer. He's actually not a scary guy. They're very nice to door people there, actually. But they're smart guys. They're okay, you know. But I think Berghain is... you know, every club has a cycle, and I think Berghain... It's going to be a huge club for ages, you know.
So you don't think it's really an issue to have Lady Gaga performing a concert at Berghain?
I don't think it was a very good idea personally, but who am I to say?
Okay.
Any more questions? Have I answered everything? Dudu Marote, what do you think of Berlin?
Well, I just love it.
No, but how do you think of Berlin compared to? Question in the back there.
Just one thing that in Berlin, normally you're not allowed to carry any camera, cell phone into the clubs.
Right.
And in Brazil, there is a big debate because everything in Brazil, the people are used to use the camera, put it on Facebook or on YouTube, and it becomes in Brazil it's like very normal. But in the big clubs here, there are some kind of debate because of this. So I would like to know what's your point on this.
You're right about in Berghain. If you take a picture in Berghain, clubbers will get you thrown out. People will enforce it. People really care about it. And it's in most of the best clubs, it's similar. Berghain has the most aggressive anti-camera philosophy. I think it's really good because, you know, you want to be in a club, you want to be able to, you know, the cliche is, you know, what happens in Berghain stays in Berghain. And it's interesting in Amsterdam, this club called Trouw, which is the big underground club, they've just introduced a no camera rule like last week for the same reason, because they want to get the vibe back in the club, and clubs are about escaping, clubs are about, you know, being in the dark and not having somebody taking a picture of you doing maybe something you don't want the world to see, whatever it may be. And the moment you're in danger of that, you kill some of the magic in a club. And the best clubs are magic spaces where, again, you have the free space to, even to dance like nobody's watching, that cliche. You know, if you can just dance and no one cares. So I think it's really good to stop camera phones, really good.
Yeah, I tried to go twice to Bergen.
Wouldn't let you in.
No. Then I went to Watergate.
Watergate, yeah.
But normally in Watergate, the guy just stopped me and he asked me, "Do you know who will play?"
Yeah.
He wanted the lineup of the night.
Yeah.
When I answered the lineup, he okay, so you're allowed.
I mean, Watergate again is past its best, you know, as a club, and I know the guys there too, and they're booking a lot more big name DJs. Sisyphus, the club I'm involved in, they don't even mention the DJ lineups until the day before, so people go for the party. And they have amazing DJs in the club. So tomorrow, Scuba is playing a secret gig. All the big name DJs play secret, you know. And so you go to the club and you find an amazingly big DJ who's doing it for fun because they want to. All the big DJ, everyone likes to play, and they like to play for a good crowd in a good club. So this is the point of the scene now, you know. That I think for them to block you. Yeah, it's difficult. You need to get to know local people. You need to find out, because with Berghain, it's all about the time you go. So if you go maybe 11 o'clock on a Sunday morning, there might be no queue, you know, at that time. But if you go at 3 in the morning on a Saturday night, boom, there's going to be a gigantic queue. So again, when you live there, you get to know the flows of, if you go 5 o'clock, or some weekends are busier than others, you know. So, and at the end of the day, they want their club to be full. So again, and that's the inside information. And Berlin operates like this. Berlin wants you to make an effort. And then when you make an effort, you'll get rewarded. And they want you to spend time there. So if you're just in for a couple of days, I know people, some of my pioneer colleagues, they wouldn't let them in anywhere, you know, and I had to phone up all these clubs and basically get them in, you know. So, yeah.
That's curious. It's a big gap between Brazil culture and the way the Germans do the nightlife. But it's interesting because when I was there, I had to understand the way they do the night. And after coming to Brazil, I tried to do some research in the internet about Bergen, about how to enter there, about how to behave to be there, or why you're not allowed sometimes.
Yeah.
And then there's a lot of stories telling people that were blocked from being in Bergen, and how to behave in the queue and this kind of stuff. It's interesting. It's a mystery thing.
I mean, the beauty of their door policy is that when you get in, everybody feels a bit like, oh wow, I got in. So everyone's in a good mood and like, yeah, I'm in the club. Reality.
Okay.
Oh yeah, that was for real. Nightmare.
Okay, this is the first part. Thank you very much, Jonty.
Thank you, Camilo.
You have now second part. Where lots of other people are going to come on stage.
Now we have the serious panel.
Yeah. The professionals are coming on stage.
Very, very serious. Yeah. I like to sit on this. Can I sit on the edge? I want your seat, Dudu.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Thanks, Camilo. Who else do we have? We're missing Paulo next to me. Do we have a name tag for Paulo? You know, Camilo Rocha. Thanks. Okay, all sitting comfortably. Microphones in hand. Talk amongst yourselves. This panel is called Breaking Out of Brazil, How to Build Your DJ Reputation Outside Brazil. We're going to try and tap into some of you guys' experience, knowledge, ideas, and advice and tips for going international. One of the reasons we did decide to do this in English was because I wanted to talk about the importance of actually speaking English. And just let me introduce you all first. First of all, we have Paulo Tessuto. Paulo's DJ resident at The Edge. He's the founder of Carlos Caps Lock. I met Paulo in Berlin, actually, the first time at Sisyphus. So I knew of him, actually, from his kind of word of mouth, I guess social media, which we'll touch on. So Paulo's kind of a new blood coming up. Not quite so new blood on the left. We have... I did ask him to change the T-shirt.
Definitely not new.
But he refused to change the T-shirt. But Dudu Marote needs...
Definitely not new and not a DJ, unfortunately.
Not a DJ, but a producer. Dudu, also known as Pritz. Is that pronounced correctly?
Producer, whatever you want.
Pritz. One half of VCO Rocks, the worst, the bottom half. With Paul Chulup. He sold millions of albums with the wonderfully named Skank as a producer in the 90s. And Copacabana Club, more recently, had a drum and bass hit, Cetina Que Se Com Voce.
Oh, yeah, I was part of that. Só Tinha Que Ser Com Você, com
DJ
Mark,
Mark.
Patife.
E
Cher. Não, Cher estava nesse dia também, não lembro. Não, Cher não. Medzu estava também.
English, please, Dudu.
Sorry.
And he also had his first release as Pritz with Derek Carter and Luke Solomon's label, Classic, very credible. We once met Jesse Rose and he was very impressed that you had a release on Classic. So
yeah,
bit of a name dropping.
It was kind of crazy though.
To Dudu's left, we have Maurício Soares. Mauricio's he was general manager of ID&T. He's now vice president of ID&T because they're 50% owned or 100% owned by SFX. 100% owned by SFX.
Yes, 100%.
Every panel I do has somebody who's been bought by SFX. So you're the latest.
That's true, and that's probably going to be more and more.
Yeah. Well, it's a question of how much we're all for sale, but we'll touch on that. Maurizio's involved in Tomorrowlands and Sensation, and he's going to talk about the whole business thing of the globalization of the dance music business and bring some of his perspectives to share. Maurizio's also has a background in marketing and brand development and analysis, so he's a bit of a wizard on that sort of things. Also a wizard. What? Wizard of some sort. Memê. DJ Memê. Famous DJ.
Be careful.
House DJ. Death Mix DJ. Started his career courtesy of Shakira, which we're going to talk about a little bit as well, definitely. And last but not least, we have Renato Cohen.
Yeah.
Techno god. Sex symbol of sorts. And
Jewish.
Yeah.
No way. And he used to have dreadlocks back in the day.
This is the Jewish sofa.
Yeah.
We both are.
Yeah.
Really?
And this is our home, all right?
So be careful.
Yeah, be careful what you say.
Oh, I want to start with you, Memê. I call you Memê.
Yeah, right.
Memê.
There's so many
Meme.
ways to say that, but you're right.
Memê.
Memê.
Memê. Kind of a girl's name in English, but it's...
Thank you for that.
You're welcome.
It's better than Dudu in English.
Yeah, that's true.
Way better. Dudu in English is shit.
Yeah. I thought it was... No, anyway.
Memê in French is grandma.
Grandma. Okay, that's sweet. Anyway, Memê, I mean, you're a, fair to say, veteran or legend or ever veteran, a word you're happy with. Anyway, you started DJing when you were 11, back in the 20th century, some time ago.
Exactly. Somewhere there.
But it took you a few years, so you had this big break with Shakira, and before Shakira...
Well, I wasn't 11 years old when that happened, but it was my break even in abroad, you know. not in Brazil. I did a remix for Shakira in '96 because I was doing well in remixes in Brazil. And the record company needed somebody from Brazil. Oh, the story is more longer than that, you know. To short the story, I did a remix for a Colombian artist that went very well. And Colombia went to Sony Music and asked to Sony Music in America to call me again and make a remix for Shakira, which was a newcomer. I did a remix, and I thought to myself, it's not for Brazil. I don't need to go pop radio. So I did a dance floor thing, and it worked very well, and it came back to Brazil, like, you know, in the opposite way. So it worked very well for her. It was like 1 million copies sold only in Brazil, and that launched my international career, gave me a lot of, you know, I felt safe and secure to put my music abroad after that.
So from that point, you've done a lot of remixes before then?
I did. Before?
Before that one?
In Brazil only.
Right.
Yeah, in Brazil only.
And were you...
But before that, not just remixes, he had a huge album with Lulu Santos as well. Before that.
But you don't know who it is.
Yeah, Lulu Santos was a huge artist, and the name of the album was Eu e Memê, Memê e eu. I and Memê and myself. So it's like, he was huge as well.
Bit of an ego issue going on there, yeah? I am me.
Yeah, there was a time when the artists, they were looking for different things. The pop music needs to survive, needs to recycle every time. And there was this guy called Lulu Santos, which was looking for somebody to, you know, to help him to make something more, to input some dance, shut the fuck up, dance spices, you know, dance spice in his music. And he had no label at that time. He had nothing, no plans. We got together. I produced 2 or 3 songs for him, took to the record company. He was a big artist before that. And that time he was like, you know, not shining too much. And for some reason, people loved that. And we made 3 records after that. And I made 1 more record, 4 records in total. It was a good time because record was selling a lot. I'm talking about 95, 96. We went 1 million records sold in 2 months. So it's crazy, you know. It doesn't happen anymore, but...
Because I want to focus on breaking international. Yeah. And before the Shakira...
See what you did, Dudu? Don't talk about that. Let's talk international.
Before Shakira, were you thinking about you wanting to be big in America, in Europe, or...
You know what?
Were you trying, or...
You know what? It was hard to try. You know what really made me, you know, more known internationally? The internet. After that, everything became very easy, you know. Because first, I made remixes for big artists, Mariah Carey, Shakira, even Julio Iglesias. But the dance music scene is not interested in that. They want the dance acts. And after the internet, you know, I started to send my music for labels. And that's when everything really happened to me.
Okay, interesting.
Around 2005.
Ah, okay, quite
almost 10 years after that.
Yeah. So Renato, I know you were playing kind of techno rave parties as a dreadlocked kind of hippie type back in the day, and then suddenly Pontape got signed by Carl Cox. Am I right in thinking he just heard the track and said to you, "Do you want to come and release it on my label?" Was it
no? It was a lot of work actually. I made the track. I mean, I was not playing hippie parties. I was just playing like techno parties. Like techno was getting big that time. I used to cut dub plates with my tracks. There was no CD by that time, and I knew the track was really big because I could play in Manaus, I could play in Curitiba for Playboys, I could play for any kind of crowd, and the track was working really like much more than any other track. So I knew the track was good. I couldn't find a label. I didn't have any contact, and Brazil was not the really cool place by that time. It was just starting. And I was quite big here that time, but okay. Then
this was like 99, 2000?
No. That 2001.
2001.
Yeah. That time was so crazy. Like records were selling so much. So just to find a label, I pressed 500 white labels from my pocket, just to give to DJs to find out. Because that time, people were not playing CDs, so I couldn't give a CD to people. I said, look, try this track because it's really great. People wouldn't play, so I had to make the vinyl from my pocket, get someone to release on the label, and look how crazy is that? 500 copies for a white label. Then I signed it with Intec. They did like 2,000 promos.
But when you pressed up to 500, how much did you spend, and were you just literally posting it randomly to
No,
labels?
I was sending to all big DJs.
But did you know the DJs, or how did you contact the DJs?
Well, I was working with Edo that time.
Uh-huh.
I don't know if you know
You do?
him.
Yeah.
From Bulldozer.
Yeah.
And that was the time Marky was getting really big. So he was the manager of Marky. So he had all the contacts. He actually was the one who suggested me to do this white label thing. And then Cal Cox came to Brazil, and he actually saw the reaction of the people in all gigs he was playing. And then by this time, Dave Clark was playing the record a lot. I gave the record to Sven Vath. I got really popular because of that in Germany. And then Cal just signed the track. It was a lot of work. It was not easy. I was pretty obsessed about make this thing work.
I mean, were you thinking, I'm going to make? Did you have the ambition to become an international DJ?
I was not. No, I have the ambition to release on an international label.
Right.
I didn't even expect that it would get so big, but I knew the track was good and I knew it could work. It was like a kind of mission, you know, because it was not really normal people looking to Brazil and interested in what was happening here.
I mean, I want to jump. All of you got interesting stories to tell. Maurizio, I want to bring you into the discussion. Do you think it's still about having a track? Is that still the key from your point of view when you're looking at Brazilian DJs, artists to book and ID&T? What's your?
I think that a track is really important if it is something unique. You know, if it has personality. If it's just like something like a copycat of someone else's work, then where's the authenticity, you know? It might lead you to some place, but you can only achieve like your position if you do your work. And your work starts with a track, with a proper website, with the contacts for bookings, with the contacts, with the proper material, press material. So it's a number of things, you know. Sometimes people think that it's only about the tracks. No, of course, you need to have the tracks because that's where your work will be shown to other people, you know, where people will get in touch with your feeling about music, with your vision about what you do. You know, but you also have to make it easy for the people who want to hire you, you know, on the business side, to get to know what you are about, where to find you, what's your schedule, where you're playing, who you're playing with, that kind of stuff.
So from your point of view of ID&T, I guess it's all about expansion and building the Brazil market for you?
Yes.
So now that you've just signed up with SFX, is part of your plan to discover talent, build talent, sell it abroad? Is that
surely
part of the equation?
Yeah. Also, because the dynamics that we have right now in the DJ market, you know, the fees are getting like crazy high, and if you rely only on those acts to make your events happen, then you're going to be a hostage of those artists, you know, and we're doing that with Yves Sunk and Dimitri Vegas and Like Mike for Tomorrowland. We intend to do that here in Brazil, to find, really scout the local new talents and put them on display, because it makes perfect sense, you know, to strengthen the local scene, to come with something that's new, that's not known abroad, and is original, is from a country that people think that's exotic, but we also know that there's really hardworking people doing their jobs here. So.
Okay, so there's a window for you at the moment, I guess, for people,
yeah,
producers in the crowd. So
yeah,
if they have it, what it's got. Paulo, you set up this party in Sao Paulo. You're creating something new on the Sao Paulo scene. I mean, Carlos Caps Lock, I guess a lot of you might know it. If you see the videos on YouTube, there's a story going on in the whole thing. Where did it all begin? Did you have a clear idea of, I'm going to do this project? What?
This thing starts when I would get kind of insatisfied with the situation about my fee in clubs, nightclubs, and about the crowd, what they expect, they were looking for when they go in the clubs. I started to realize that people were going more to flirt with someone, to stay with someone, they don't even care for the music, and then I start, these things happen like very naturally because I create this character. There was a kind of joke, and then the thing gets bigger because it became a theme of Voodoo Hop Party once, and then Thomas advised me to create this party, and then everything gets together in the right time. So it was not forced, it's something really natural. The main idea is that once you said before, it's to be in a party, it's to be outside from the world you want to forget. And I get inspiration from the nightclub scene of New York in the 80s because I want to get this kind of vibe again. You know, people get really mad about music and don't care about if, you know, it's fucking hot here or not, and to pay less more to get into the club. So things start to happen, and then I realized that it was very nice if I can pass a message, and not only to make a party or just being DJing. So it's something bigger than a party. It's kind of a social thing now. We always try to pass some message, to make jokes about critical situations of our country, and I always use subversion to pass these messages because I don't want to put nothing in somebody's face, you know. I want people to think about it. And it was awesome because I get a new crowd, and Carlos Caps Lock, it's now like more than artist intervention because we did parties on the streets, and we have the sound system truck, and a lot of ideas are coming. So I'm very happy with Carlos Caps Lock because now I'm a different person, you know. Now I have this character, and sometimes I wake up and I said, oh, today I'm going to be Paulo, but tomorrow I can be Carlos, so it's awesome.
Okay, tomorrow he's going to be Carlos with me and Renato. I'm going to be Jonty, that's going to be Renato still. And we're all DJing at Trackers tomorrow night, midnight. So if any of you fancy coming out, we'll all be there. And I want to ask about, I mean, Dudu, you've had a few adventures along the way. And when Dudu and I first met about 3 years ago, we had some very loud sessions in your studio, which I've still got bad hearing from. Dudu's got the loudest studio in the world, basically. But you released this track with Derek Carter, and Derek's this again, quite legendary figure who's not very accessible. He's not seen as somebody who's easy to kind of get in contact with. How did you connect with Derek?
Well, it was totally random, actually. The thing is, at that time, what I always think for someone like me, I'm not organized. So I like to make music. I just like to make music. I'm kind of like you, like you say about your things. That's how I am. So it's always good to have someone organized with you. At that time, it was this guy called Renato Cohen that we kind of organized ourselves as a collective of me as an old comer at that time, and some newcomers like Jonas Rocha, Rafael Drors, the Jamanta Crew thing. So all of us made some a kind of collective CDs all together, and Renato Cohen at that time was starting The Edge, and he went to Intermusic Conference, and he was so confident about our productions, and he kind of hit everybody with our productions. And you gotta hear this, you gotta listen to this, you gotta listen to this. And by accident, Luke Solomon, he started to play our tracks, and he loved it. He fucking loved it. And after that, nothing happened. So, well, nothing happened, okay, it's okay, so fuck it. And then I had an artist in my label called Nego Moçambique, and he was playing Sonar, Barcelona, and I went to Barcelona with him. And last day of Sonar, I went to the anti-Sonar festival, so I was totally crazy with this guy, Camilo Rocha. Yeah, Camilo Rocha even found some enemies at the party. So we were totally fucked up at that night, and I was totally fucked up, and I said, hey, I might call Classic now. So it was like 9 a.m., 10 a.m. on a Monday. I called the office for nothing. I called them, hey, I'm going to London tomorrow. I got to go there because Luke Solomon's playing my tracks. And the guys just, what the fuck is this? I said, just come. And I went there. And when I went there, the battery of my laptop just was fucked up, but was dead. So I couldn't play any track. And like we were trying a CD or whatever. And the guys didn't understand anything until I said, no, Luke Solomon was playing my track, and the guys, what the fuck is he saying? And then they remembered Luke Solomon really loved my track, but he forgot who did the track because he lost the CD. So like I was kind of bad, but he was even worse than me. So that's how it happened, and yeah, you were the man, and this is the track, and you were who. So it's like totally messed up and totally fucked up. So totally random, yeah.
So persistence is the key. So I want to ask about having someone helping you, because Renato, you talked about Edu connecting you with Carl Cox, and I know Memê, we talked yesterday about how you hooked up with Defmix. And how important is it to have a manager? Do you think it's for breaking? You think it's essential these days, or?
It depends what you do. If you have a music career, not only DJing and releasing tracks, producing tracks, and you have a lot of things to do, and you need somebody to centralize everything. You know, somebody that knows people, somebody powerful. Let's say powerful. You know, Judy's Judy. She created the business. You know. And when you have somebody like that, come on, why not? Nobody does everything, you know, on its own. You know, you need somebody to count with you. I think a manager is very important if you want to be an artist. If you just want to play for fun, or if you know, it is important. They have to know more than you. They have to do things that you will not do. Not to expose you. You leave things for your manager, you know, so I think it's very important, you know. I used to have some other managers, but I don't call them managers like Judy is. Okay, Judy is the founder and the manager of Defmix, which is the company I belong, let's say that, in America, and she's our manager. And I think after Judy, it was like a door open to me, a different door open to me. It is important.
And Renato, you have a manager now, or?
No, not anymore.
So why don't you have a manager?
Because things were changing. I had this manager that was much more involved with drum and bass, which was a very different way to deal with the business. And then I think by that time, the world started to change. It was, I mean, in techno, it was more like a personal thing, you know. You meet people in clubs, or you meet people from labels, and it's more direct, you know. I decided to quit this because I was paying money for nothing, and that was just when MySpace started and all these medias started to get really big. So yeah, I mean, techno is quite big, but it's still like, you know, it's not really a huge thing that you need a manager or something like that. It's a pretty much honest thing.
I mean, I want to touch on social media, particularly with you, Paolo, because I was looking at your profile yesterday, sort of stalking you in a kind of a fairly sinister way, and I noticed you had 110 new Facebook friends yesterday or something, or recently, and it seems rather a lot of people to me. So, I mean, how important has it been for you for building Carlos Kopsak. Are you spending Carlos Cups? Carlos Cups.
This social media is very important for me because I can spread my message, and people are really interested in social medias when they talk about party in Brazil. We're not using flyers anymore. It's very unusual. There are some parties doing huge parties, but it's not very usual as it used to be. And I think, actually, when I've been to Berlin this year, I said to you that I was with this idea to went out of Facebook and start to a new kind of way to promote my party, but it's kind of dangerous decisions to do because everybody's connected to Facebook now. Yeah. And it's getting worse and worse every day. People are transporting their lives to Facebook. Oh, look, now I have a new shirt, and now I'm in the club with my friends, look at my shoes and everything. So to do a party for me here, it's actually it's very important, Facebook. But I'm thinking about a new way, you know, maybe mouth to mouth, but I think that Brazil doesn't have this market, you know. Yeah. We need this social media.
I mean, the rest of you, I mean, Memê, are you spending hours a day on Facebook chatting to all your fans, or?
Yes and no. I spend some hours on Facebook, not only for business, you know, to speak to some friends who are in abroad, you know. But I use Facebook for promoting and everything, you know. It's a very powerful tool, but the thing is, I don't have patience for that. So that's why a manager, it's important. She can handle everything.
Yeah, but for example, if you have an underground party, and people just take a look at the fan page and the day of the party, and they saw 700 confirmed, well, I will go to this party. So this is important. Yeah. For example, if you have a huge club like The Edge, it's not so important because if you take a look at these events in The Edge, they have less confirmations than Carlos Caps Lock. Less, more. Yeah. So to underground parties, I think it's very important, this social media.
Okay.
The good part, I think the good part in the Facebook for me, and you're going to agree with that, I think so, it's you make contact with your fan base. They want to talk to you. They want to know more about you. And this is also important, you know, because these people can push you in another countries to go there, talk to this guy or that guy to bring you there and everything. And it's a more interesting part. Promoting, I think it's more what he does about his parties. I think the Facebook is more important than it is for me. It works very well and better for him than for my business, you know. I'm not going to spend a lot of time in Facebook saying, hey, this is my track. Listen to my track. You want my track? I'll give you my track today. I did that a couple of times, but, you know, it's different. It's different.
There's a story I read, and I asked you for Dudu for this. It's about BitTorrent, and it's a story about Iron Maiden. And Iron Maiden, the heavy metal band, they just got praised in London for being one of the UK's fastest growing music firms. Basically, they've been using BitTorrent to give away their tracks. And what this article said was that Brazil is one of the biggest file sharing countries in the world. And basically, Iron Maiden have used BitTorrent to boost the demand for their live concerts. And so they're making huge amounts of money off the back of giving all their music away for free. And I know Moby's been doing this recently as well. I mean, Dudu, you were selling, or you were involved in selling it. Are you now resigned to having to give it all away, do you think?
Well, that's a tough question. That's a tough question that I don't think anybody knows how to answer. But the truth is, I don't know internationally, but Brazil, BitTorrent and everything pirate is so huge. And even if you release on a label, in question of hours, it's going to be, if it's interesting, it's going to be on BitTorrent and people are going to share it. So I got confronted in two ways because I work with music in two ways. Like everything I do for my own is totally kind of independent. So I don't think as a huge profit. on that. I do it because I love it, and I don't think about money about that. And so sharing is okay. I don't share it, but I've got a track, for example, that it was released once on a label from Chicago, but I know everybody that has it, everybody who has it shared, because it's called Bonde Fumegante. It's a kind of secret track I did with Nego Moçambique, but I like it to be shared and to be kind of underground, and people don't know who made it. And well, that's reality. BitTorrent is everywhere. Is this what where you asked?
No, I'm curious if you think the model of selling music is essentially dying.
Well, there was a discussion this week. A close friend of mine was kind of discussing with everybody like, well, every DJ has to say, yeah, I'm charted on Beatport right now. I'm charted on Juno. So our charts on tracks that important for electronic music. So where's the underground? Where's the underground stuff? So me personally, I don't think so. I prefer what I like. It's what I like. So I like DJ Cole's, for example, and it's not charted. But for many people it is, and maybe for people who want to make a career, who are tough about making a career, being charted is very important. So I don't think maybe Beatport is not good for sales, but it's good to be charted, to appear in a certain way. Not for me, but well, I don't know if you guys, what do you guys think about that?
Yeah, Renato, how are you viewing releases now? Are they just marketing tools completely, or?
I mean, this Beatport thing really makes a difference. I think there's a huge difference between Europe and Brazil. The whole media, the social media thing. Brazilians are obsessed about being part of a group, like a huge group. It has to be big, you know. Even when you see people complaining about the scene, they are complaining that nobody likes what they like because they wanted everybody to be there, you know. In England, for example, a guy who likes that sort of music, he doesn't give a shit if someone likes or not. This is my thing, you know. I like this music. He will play that music for 30 years and doesn't give a shit if there's like 20,000 people watching or just two guys and a dog, you know. So, which dog?
And the funny thing is that once everybody is there, it's not good anymore.
Yeah. Yeah, but yeah, totally. But this is another thing. Like, it's a pretty easy life in Europe, so they can have this. Yeah, I'm sure people in East Europe doesn't behave like that, you know. And also in Brazil, you know. So I would say, like, if you are on the top 10 of Beatport, it's gonna make a big difference in Brazil. And.
I think there's a deeper question that's behind it, which is curatorship.
Okay. Yeah, that's true.
Look.
He's always there.
If we're looking
top number one.
If we're looking how to break out of Brazil, he just said one very important point. You know, Brazilians are always looking for the big group. They don't want to be part of something short. So, you know, it's hard to jump, you know, over the ocean. You have to remember, you have to, you know, have a boat or something and, you know, work. But that's a big problem we have in Brazil, to break, you know, abroad, you know. That's a big problem. If we know that, if we solve, not only that, but I never thought about that.
When you're big abroad, does that make Brazilian people take you more seriously?
But from this, as he's saying, I got something to say. Brazilians always like when somebody break out internationally in any way. Like the Copacabana Club band I produced, it got into American festivals, it got into all Brazilian festivals just because they were mentioned once in Kanye West's blog. Just because that. And then that was a spread. Yeah, they're famous now because they're on Kanye West's blog. So anything that happens internationally to any Brazilian, people love it. So breaking out internationally for Brazilians, for the not for the artists, but for the public, is anything. It's kind of crazy. Is it true?
Yeah, totally true.
It is. And there's another thing which, I'm sorry, my fellow Brazilians, I have to say that. You probably know what I'm saying.
Probably.
Oh, yeah. Brazilians, unfortunately, don't have a compromise with something. They don't get on time. They don't send the track on deadline. They don't appear every time when they should be. So it's like, you know, it's a problem that exists in Brazil. People lose the deadline. People, you know, compromise is everything. You know what I'm talking about. And I learned that, look, I'm a good example. I learned that when I went to abroad, you know. My first time I was in a record company. I had a meeting at 5 o'clock in London, and I got there 5:25. Oof, I'm a little bit late. I'm a little bit late. Where is blah, blah, blah? She left. Oh, but I had a schedule with her. Yeah, 5 o'clock. It's 5:25. She left. That changed my life. Forever.
It's an important lesson.
It is. It is. It is.
Bloody Brazilians. Oh, I don't know. I'm living in Germany. The trains run on time in Germany.
Exactly.
Talking about Berlin.
We have to compromise. Compromise is everything. Focus and compromise. We don't have this in Brazil. It's natural from Brazilians not to compromise, especially to get on time somewhere.
I want to ask about moving abroad. I mean, I know, Renato, you were semi-based in Berlin for a few years. Memê, you just mentioned you were abroad for a while. Do you think it's necessary? Would you recommend people to move abroad to break? Would that be something each of you in turn would do? I mean,
why can. But
why did you move abroad? Why did you come back?
Yeah, traveling is important. Living abroad, it's good too. But, you know, if you can, we have the internet today. It helps a lot. You can live in an island, but if you have a Wi-Fi, you are anywhere. You have Skype, we have FaceTime, we have everything, you know. It's easier nowadays. But if you move, I see some people moving from other cities, moving to São Paulo, or moving to Rio, or to Floripa, to be closer to the scene. It works. It works too. It works. It's not the most important thing, but it works, right?
Yeah, and sometimes once you're a newcomer, it's better. And if you're always there, you don't have the same value anymore.
Yeah, that's true.
This can be happen.
I think even not moving, but trying to be there for a Brazilian is totally important. It's totally important. First of all, to learn the language. Not to learn to speak English, but to learn how people speak English in clubs when they are high and drunk. That's how I had to learn to speak English.
Basically, I really love you, Dudu. You're my best mate.
And I think it's also important to bear in mind that moving is not enough. It depends on the goals that you have. You know, what are you looking for when you move? What are the references that you're learning? You know, you're absorbing. What are you there for? You know, that's a really important thing that people have to think about before taking that step.
Because from your perspective, you're a cultural expert on trends and so on. And I mean, do you agree that this Brazilian thing of Brazilians being generally late and a little bit maybe unprofessional? Is that?
I think that Brazilians like to play the victim a lot. You know, so it's always somebody else's fault. Either the government, either the people that don't value my work, but
bastards.
So it's not worthy to do this, to do that. It's not going to work. Oh, you see,
yeah.
so, you know,
it's always easy, you know, to blame the oppressor in some way.
But for you guys, were you, I mean, you're saying this about Brazilians, it's not worth it, but all of you made the effort to change it. Were you thinking, fuck everybody else? Did you feel do you feel different from other people to start your thing? Or I'm curious.
I think that
I do.
what they say is true about Brazilians, but it's kind of impossible to compare to other countries because each country have their culture, and Brazil is a new country that we all know how it works things here, and this kind of thing, this less compromise that we have, it can be related to the situation that we live here. You know, it's not very easy to live here once you don't got money. That's the truth. I think that's not anyone plays the victim, you know. It's totally different to live in Berlin. I was there, and I was happy just to take the ride with a bike, you know, because you can eat good food with less money. You have landscapes, you have trees everywhere, you have respect, people are pleased with you, educated, so it's
Yes,
totally different.
that's
It's
important.
impossible to compare, you know. We don't have this structure that Europe have, for example.
Yeah, but when you think about what's really effective, you know, to rant about what's wrong or to work to change it.
Sure.
You know, you are working to change it. I'm working to change it. Everybody here working to change it. But you know, just complaining doesn't get you anywhere.
I agree with you about that. But Brazilian conditions are very different for artists.
And we got a complaining social media now. Huh? It's everybody's complaining on social media. It's a I don't know if it's worldwide, but Brazilian social media is like everybody complaining.
It's
about
a reflex of what we were, you know.
You know, you all seem so friendly and nice to me. I had no idea you were all so miserable, bitter, and grumbling
totally
all the
fun.
time. It's like, I'm not getting any of this. So, I mean, have any of you come close to quitting? I mean, have you had any moments when you thought, oh my God, I'm going to get a regular job? I mean, Memê, have you had any real crisis when you've suddenly thought, have you lost your confidence, or have you had no money, or Dudu, have you?
I had a crisis. It happened to me, and electronic music saved me. Yeah, it's a funny thing. And I was working with Skank during the 90s, and at some point there was no point of them working with me and me working with them, and then they decided I wasn't going to work with them anymore. And then at that time, and you were being so successful, and I got a little depressed about that. And during 1-2 years, and starting all together in electronic music by 1999, that was where I found everything. When I found a way, and I even started to do some music theories about that, because I'm kind of crazy about those things, about zeros and ones in rhythms, and that's when I really understood rhythms. And so even when you're depressed and you don't know where you go, it's always good. I think it's a good moment, because if you can stop and look everywhere and maybe trying to find a new way, yeah, that's what happened to me, and it was so cool. It was so good for me.
I mean, you guys as DJs, I mean, I've had this sometimes when you have a run of bad gigs and then you don't enjoy them at all and the crowd don't like you.
That happens a lot. Of course.
I mean, how do you deal with that? Have you had times when you thought, oh my God,
It depends. It depends. You know, you go to a gig which is not your type of gig. You have to be flexible, but not too flexible to look like another artist. You know, you have to be yourself always. You can open, can open a little bit, but not too much. You know, but there are days that are not the bad days. You know, if you have a long career, it's not always good. You know, there are good and bads, bad gigs, good gigs, and that's it. You know, you learn with that.
The long run is not easy. And if you guys know the movie 24-Hour Party People, 24-Hour Party People, it's a movie that talks about that. That music's always like when you're a surfer and you're trying to get the wave, the waves that just don't come, and you wait for another wave. It's a cool movie, and talks a lot about this thing of maybe you don't find your way in music. Yeah, it happens a lot.
You know what happens, Jonty? I think all of us, in some point, we had, and that happens to everyone with the same situation, we had relative success. We went to the top of the hill. Where you go after the top? you go down. You're not going to be there always, you know. So you have to go down. It's not good to go down. Because if you go one step only, people say, oh, he's not at the top anymore.
Pass as fast, yeah.
So that, you know, that reflects on you somehow. And it happens all the time. You have to learn how to deal with that and keep trusting yourself, you know.
Has it been a problem of envy of your success? I'm curious because
of course,
one step down and people go, he's failing, bastard.
It happens.
Schadenfreude, we call it.
It happens, of course. It happens a lot in Brazil. Am I right?
Yeah, I think that this...
Brazilians doesn't like to see Brazilians doing a lot of success, you know.
About that. Yeah,
right?
That's what I was supposed to
Go
say.
for it. Complete the sentence, please.
Totally right. I don't have nothing else to say.
We have this problem here, you know.
This kind of unity, you know. People don't want to see you with having success. They just, you know.
Yeah, if you
jealous about it.
If you make it on Monday,
you guys are complaining now.
Yeah.
Proper Brazilian stuff.
If you break it on Monday, on Tuesday there will somebody saying in Brazil, he probably has a bad breath. Something like that.
I don't think it's always like that. Because when I started...
There are exceptions.
Yeah,
I'm not talking about exceptions.
When I started in Europe, my agent, he used to be agent of all the Swedish guys. And he said, okay, get ready because all the people in your country are going to say that you don't care anymore about the country and blah, blah, blah. So I was really prepared for that. And people were so proud, you know, to have a Brazilian playing in all big festivals in Europe, playing in Ibiza and all that shit. Like, I felt that they were all with me, you know. It's a sort of a football thing, like you're representing us or things like that, you know.
I don't represent anyone in Brazil. I represent myself. Because when I needed Brazilian ones, you see, he's with Roberto Carlos now. Yeah, Roberto Carlos too corny, you know.
Maybe when you represent too much.
It's totally not true, Memê.
I don't represent
totally
myself.
not true.
I don't represent Brazil. Brazil doesn't represent me. Never did. I'm sorry, but that's you know.
So why
you got lots of followers. Come on.
Why is Renato sort of popular and everyone else is unpopular?
And we are proud that you played in Berghain recently, huh?
Yeah.
You just played. You played there in Berghain.
He plays there 10 years.
Did they let you in?
As long as no Brazilians
No,
are
I played
allowed.
outside.
I think that what happens sometimes is that in Brazil you have just a few opportunities sometimes, and people just want to catch it. So sometimes people don't. That's what we're talking about. People don't get so happy about your success and your things getting right, and maybe the crowd gets. Yeah, it's okay, but you know, for example, it's very rare to see DJs on Carlos Caps Lock parties. It's very rare to see other promoters. It's very rare to see nightlife people in Carlos Caps Lock parties, for example.
You mean
it's
industry,
a nice party,
industry
it's a real
people.
thing, it's underground, it's about music, it's about crowd interested in
So you mean the music business people don't come? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
I've never been to his party.
Come tomorrow. Come
Yeah,
tomorrow.
yeah.
I'm playing.
I'm interested a lot in anything voodoo hop, so I love to.
You're all invited.
I've been to a voodoo hop in Caraíva. Yeah.
Yeah, last year?
This year.
This year? I was
This
there
year.
too.
Oh, so yeah, that happens.
So
it was just 20 people. We were there and we didn't know each other. So it's like,
I wanna.
that's the way I like it.
Dude, shut up. I want to move on a bit. How much has luck played a role? Are you all believers in? You all feel lucky? Do you feel lucky? Punk?
Luck is important.
Yeah. Can you make your own luck? Is it a question of working hard and?
It's relevant. Luck, it counts.
Yeah. So what's been your luckiest break?
But we don't explain that, you know.
Yeah.
Luck is luck. If you're lucky, you're lucky, you know. But you gotta have something inside. You can't. Maybe you are playing for 2 years only. You started like 2 years ago as a DJ, and you produce a track, and you were lucky to have your track in the charts, or you know, people playing that. But if you did that on lucky only, what are you doing after that? You gotta have something inside to keep on going. I'll open the door for you. You're the new DJ here at Green Valley or Van High or whatever, you know. You put the guy inside the booth. It's luck for him. But what are you gonna do if he doesn't have something inside to, to keep on going, to maintain, Luck is important, but.
So, Maurizio, I want to ask you a bit. I mean, you've got the power to make people, to deliver some luck to somebody and go, I'm going to make you Brazil's next potential superstar DJ. I mean, what's the process? How are you? How much is involved in this?
I think that luck is important. As Memê said, it can open the doors, but it's up to you to keep it open. But the more promos and emails and requests that I get, the harder it is for me to pay attention to all of them. So sometimes, if it comes through someone who I respect, in who I trust with my musical feeling, with musical taste, then of course I will pay more attention to that.
That's true. That's true.
It's all about contacts, isn't it? Really?
It is. Of course, it is.
I think it is.
The whole business.
You can't send tracks to the record.
We can't be hypocrites here.
It's more important, I guess.
Yeah. Because we were talking, Memê and I were talking a couple of days ago, and you were telling me that Frankie Knuckles got you on Def Mix. Is that right? And how did you get to meet Frankie? How did you end up making friends with Frankie Knuckles in the first place?
Since 1989, 90, I used to go to New York at least twice a year to buy records, to stay the whole week, go to one club on Monday, another club on Tuesday, Wednesday, see the DJs playing and absorb what they were doing.
You were like an unknown Brazilian guy, just a random clubber.
Yeah,
basically.
exactly. I was already a DJ here in Brazil, known, because I was doing a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
But in New York, I went, just as a clubber, And I remember on Wednesday, on Tuesday, there was Eric Morillo playing at one club. On Wednesday, there was Louis Vega on the second club, and Frankie Knuckles was playing on Friday at the Sound Factory bar. Junior Vasquez on Sound Factory Club on Saturday, blah, 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 and so on. And I used to go to see Frankie. I used to arrive like midnight, sit down in a spot, and stay for the whole night trying to, think, absorb what he was feeling and playing the next song. I can do that. I know a lot of people can do that, and that's very important. When you do that...
What do you mean? You mean you were kind of guessing what his next track would be? Or?
No, guessing what he's thinking to play the next track. Why he played that next track. What the moves, everything.
So you were like watching him?
Watching all night long. And on the second time, I was closer to the booth. And one day, they opened the booth door, and I got in. And I sat down in the corner of the booth all night long. And he was there, and I was like... And in the end of the night, I went to talk to him. My name is Memê, I'm a DJ in Brazil, blah, 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 blah. And he gave me a DAT, which was a digital tape, like a digital cassette. He gave me a DAT with 2 or 3 hours recorded of that night. I like your work, I'm here for you, I'm here all night long, I've been here before, so I'm here for you. Oh, nice, here's a gift, Oh, fuck, great. And I had a radio show at that time. I came back to Brazil, play his music, play the tape and everything. So I started to do that. On the second time, he saw me again. Oh, you? Yeah, I know you. I would say I was doing remixes at that time. I already did Shakira at that time, and I did a remix for Desiree. For a track for Desiree, for a remix album. And I went to New York, and I cut acetate. I cut an acetate for me, and I cut one for Frankie. Whatever. I went to the Sound Factory. Hey, how are you? How are you, Frank? Hey, Memê, how are you? Good. It's okay. Look, now I have a gift for you. Years after that, here's a mix I did for Desiree. Oh, nice. Okay, great. And he put on his records. And for me, it was over. And then in the middle of the night, I saw he playing the record. He got the record and put it. I was like, oh, shit. And he was listening to the record. That's not usual, because you don't get a CD or a vinyl or whatever, and you play at the night. You want to hear at home or, you know, relaxed. And he played that, and he played in the headphone, and it was nice. Then he played, and he looked at me and said, nice mix. Fuck. And that broke some barriers, you know, brought me close to him. And he started to treat me as a friend. And then how's everything started? We became friends. And I used to meet him around the world in gigs or when I was in New York, when I was in Ibiza. And one day we were in Ibiza. I had my management in UK. And I wasn't so happy with the management at that time. I was working with that manager for 4 or 5 years. And there were some wrong things that happened in the last tour. And I sat down with Frankie. We were having a dinner. I was talking to him. I had some problems in this gig. Now I'm here in Ibiza to relax. What problems? And I told him the problems I had, blah, 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 blah. He said to me.
You were complaining, Brazilian complaining.
Yeah, Brazilian.
Theme developer.
But I was right, complaining about a British person. Sorry for that.
It's probably a Brazilian British person.
Actually, she was half Indian. Whatever.
Okay.
Anyway, so I was complaining about that, and he said to me, you should work with Judy. You should be a death mix. Okay, death mix, if you don't know death mix, it's probably the first music DJs agency in the world. It's 26 years now. Judy Weinstein, the manager, founder of Death Mix, is one of the most known and powerful people in the dance music industry. Everybody knows her, whatever. And then when he said that to me, I said, that's not possible. There was only 5 DJs for 20 years at Death Mix, no more. Frankie Knuckles, David Morales, Hector Romero, Satoshi Tomi, and one more, I forgot now. And I said, come on, Death Mix is Death Mix. No, I'm seriously. I'm always talking about you to Judy. And then she calls 20 minutes after that. And he was, oh, I have Memê here. Talk to her. Hi, Judy. Hi, Memê. He's always talking about you. When you come into New York, we need to meet up. I said, nah, that's not going to happen. And that happened. To short the story, because I'm, that happened. And she invited me to be a part of Death Mix. She said, you already are a Death Mix DJ. You always been. Your music, the way you DJ, the music you make, you are a Death Mix DJ. So you are a part of the family. Welcome to the family. Everybody voted, and I'm in the family for 2 years, so it's like you go to the church every Sunday, and the priest tells you one day, you don't pray anymore. You stay here with the saints. I'm still trying to understand that, It was hard for me for 1 year to understand that. I was a little bit lost with that, because you don't imagine that. You know what I'm saying, right?
And just getting back to the luck thing, I think that the videos...
There was luck and hard work.
It wasn't luck at all. I think it was pure hard work, like no luck.
The videos that I sent you this week.
Yeah, I thought it wasn't going to fit for...
No, okay. This year I was at Tomorrowland, just telling the people because we don't have the videos here, but I saw in a 20-stage festival, both times that Renato's track Pontapé played by Dave Clark and by Green Velvet, I was there. So how lucky is that,
Are you booking Renato for your gigs, or?
I hope so in the future.
Paying him loads of money?
I hope so in the future.
I want to cut on this.
Yeah.
Having a Carlos Caps Lock VIP
I respect a lot
stage.
his work. Of course, everybody's here. No,
Are you going to book me for a gig?
Yeah. I will, Memê. I will forget about our debates. So.
I mean, for you, do you feel lucky with Carlos? Do you feel blessed? We were talking, you're involved in an African religion as well, so you have a spiritual element to...
Actually, I don't feel lucky. I just work for what I got.
Right.
Yeah. I got contacts, but when I first started DJ, I was going to the edge and giving mixes to people, and people don't really know me. And then I start to play at the edge sometimes. I started a party called Plastic, but things started to really happen when I start this party called Carlos Caps Lock, because came in a good moment, because the scene was kind of really weak,
cheesy.
And then Voodoo Hop came with this new concept about a lot of art things, different medias, and to pay low fees to get into the club, to pay less to drink, and this starts to create a new crowd really interested in something new, not even to make part of things, like you said, the Brazilians want to make part of something great or something big, but I don't feel lucky actually. I just work for it.
I think we're almost out of time, so a bit of a cliche question, but worth asking, I think. Advice for people, the panel's about breaking out internationally. I mean, if Renato, what would be your key 3 or 4 little pointers that people should be doing if they want to?
I think we all can agree that making music is that's the whole
first
thing.
Yeah, or everything.
I think you need to do something that, as you said, must be interesting. If you're just following the rules and trying to be there as any other producer, it's not gonna work. That's what I think.
Okay, to you.
You just missed my answer.
Okay.
I was talking about you, but you didn't care.
I see
The guy came to me and said, "We need to finish soon." I'm just telling him.
We need to finish soon, so it's Paulo.
I think that it's important to make your own music if you want to break out Brazil. But for example, I've been to Berlin this year without any released track. I play at finest underground clubs like Sisyphus, Golden Gate, Art Gallery of Tresor, that I also produce a party, Caps Lock party there. And I think that one thing that counts now in the scene is that you need, if you have a good party, a nice party with a good crowd, those DJs want to play in your party, so this counts too. And you also need to have a good job, and you need to produce some stuff, but it's not everything. For example, now I got tracks released, but for example, when I play in Berlin this year, I even got a track.
That's one of the old school ways, was make a track out or throw a good party, and then you can invite DJs and then they book you back, and that was quite a traditional way of
it's important to do a lot of things, not only music, to be DJ. You were talking about that earlier. You need to do different things, not only to be a DJ or produce music. For example, I make this party, Carlos Caps Lock, and I get a lot of artists, and we promote these different ways of arts, like fanzines, like videos, like viral thing in the internet. And I also make body paint, and now I'm producing music. So I think it's important, not only in electronic music, but when you're doing art now, it's to do a lot of stuff, not only one thing, because people are getting more and more access to things, so it's getting easier to do things related to art. So I think it's very important to, open.
Okay, I think we're almost out of time. Any questions from the crowd? Benjamin, in the front, shout.
Good to know, thank you.
I would like to ask you, first of all, I really think that this format of releasing mixed compilations is dead now with SoundCloud and Mixcloud, etc. I want to know about you and about you guys, if you really think that it's not important anymore for a DJ and producer to release a mixed compilation. Oh, thank you, obrigado. To release a mixed compilation, and also, what memories do you have about that time working for Sony Evening and making compilations? Good memories and or bad memories about
I have no memories. I smoke too much. No kidding. Look, well, it isn't. I never did something at that time, especially, to get somewhere. This is what I do. I'm not being a DJ. I am a DJ, so I like mixing. If it's to make a compilation, I'll make a compilation, and I'm gonna try. I don't want to know how much it's gonna sell. I'm doing that because I want to make the best compilation ever, the best mix ever, because I like to do that, you know. I'm always like that. I know that it helps a lot. Compilation is just a part of the business, you know. You have
still,
to...
Do you think it still is? Like,
yeah, otherwise SoundCloud wouldn't be what it is now, because SoundCloud is very popular for compilations.
Yeah, but
I
what
mean DJ
is,
mixes you're talking about, right?
Yeah, like releasing a mixed compilation on CD, because like now everybody
CD?
can go to
What is
SoundCloud.
CD? What?
I think it is important. For example, we realize that now we have big artists releasing this kind of stuff, like SÄO PAULO with the Get Lost 5, and the John Talabot, DJ Kicks, and now the Ben West Bitch also. So I think it's a new tendency, you know. And I also thinking about to release the compilation soon.
Media? What media?
I mean, you said about compilations,
yes.
DJ mixed compilations.
Yes.
Really
but
matter.
what media exactly? Like CD, or you can put your file and sell it on a...
No, but for example, the Get Lost 5 was released separate tracks on vinyls. For example, Davis from The Edge, he's setting up a compilation. He's also going to be mixed. And he's going to release the vinyl also.
Separate tracks on vinyl, right? Yeah. We still buy these compilations, especially.
I think now it's an important moment for that, you know, because people wanted to listen mixes also. You know, and it's good because you can put a lot of artists that you have to do have to do about it, and you can show their work for the world, or
even with remixes and re-edits. For example, just last night I bought 2 compilations by Joy Negro with re-edits of some good old tracks, and I see these. I still see these compilations around, but I don't know where. I just wanted to link this to the reference I have about you and the influence you had in my career.
Okay, thank you very much for that, Marcel. Look, there's one thing that is more important than anything. You can say compilations are important, Facebook is important, to be in the charts is important, but thinking about it can be effective or not, but there's one thing that is very important. You have to know people, network. You have to be there, you have to make friends, you have to, you know. This always works. Now or later, it's going to work to know the right people. Right?
And have commitment.
And have commitment, exactly. Focus, have commitment, and, you know, work hard. But know people is very important.
And there's not a single, like, magic formula for the success, you know. It's different for each person.
Yeah, but this thing, that network is important. Yeah. One day, your best friend can be the president of Sony Music, you know, or whatever.
So you've all done the right thing by coming here, because the whole point of this is to meet people. We've all met. So I think we're out of time, so let's wrap it up. And thank you all very much for taking part. You've all been amazing.
Thank you for your presence.
I'm looking for a manager.